several years, and many more. And so, look, we're going to continue to have these high-level officials travel there to China to continue to have those conversations. But we have been incredibly deliberate with our strategy. Again, competition without conflict, that's how we're moving forward.
There are still a few months left.
Yeah.
Will there still be opportunity?
Say that last part, would there still be?
A chance you may go abroad?
I don't have anything to share about foreign travel, but we have been very deliberate with our strategy. We believe it's worked, and we're going to continue to move forward in that fashion. Go ahead, Danny.
Thanks, Karine. The President said that he wants to push for a Gaza ceasefire in his last 6 months in office, but Prime Minister Netanyahu just gave a pretty uncompromising speech to Congress, and that just a day before he comes here to the White House. Does the President really believe that Netanyahu sounds like a man who's likely to go for a peace deal?
So let me just say a couple of things. I do want to give our reaction to the Prime Minister's speech. So we appreciate Prime Minister Netanyahu for thanking President Biden for his unwavering support for Israel and his efforts to secure the release of the hostages. President Biden looks forward to meeting the Prime Minister here tomorrow to discuss developments in Gaza, including negotiations on a ceasefire deal and the humanitarian situation on the ground. And my colleagues in the 4 o'clock hour is going to, at NSC, is going to hold a press call where they're going to address additional questions regarding the Prime Minister's address and also his visit. So I would certainly tune in. You'll hear more from them directly. Look, they're going to meet tomorrow. The president has always been clear on how he sees the future, a two-state solution. He's always supported that. That's something that he's going to continue to speak to. They're going to have a conversation tomorrow. The president looks forward to that. The vice president's also going to have a meeting with the prime minister tomorrow. And so I'll leave it there. But the National Security Council is going to be doing a press call, so I would certainly refer you to any further questions that you may have on the visit.
You've got no sense of whether he does have any confidence that this is really an achievable goal in his last 6 months?
I believe that the president is optimistic. This is a president that believes that anything could happen if you stay focused, if you work hard towards it. So he's going to be optimistic. The work continues, and that's not going to stop him for sure. Yeah, Jerry.
Given that you've had a lot of questions about the president's agenda here over the next 6 months, I'm curious, does the president believe that some of what he'd like to get through Congress between now and the end of the year is made easier if he's not a candidate?
I don't quite understand the question because he's not on the.
Does he think that it'll be easier, harder, the same to kind of get some of these things that he's been struggling to get through Congress through now?
Well, first of all, this has been the fact that the president has gotten this much done, right? The historic pieces of legislation.
Wait,
hold on. You guys got to give me a second to answer, to actually warm up into the answer. So, look, the president has gotten a lot done. Historic amount of legislation passed. Historic pieces of legislation passed, and that wasn't done with an easy political climate, right? It's not. I mean, I think you could agree with me there. And so, look, we're going to have more to share on what the next several months, the final several months of his term is going to look like. We will share that. The president wants to continue to build on those historic initiatives that he was able to get done. This has not been an easy political climate, and some of that work did it in a bipartisan way. And when he wasn't able to get it done in a bipartisan way, he found policy ways to do that with an executive action. And we've been able to be successful, whether it's the border, right? Whether it's trying to get things done on the student loan side. There's been ways that the president has been very, very focused on making sure we're delivering on the initiatives, on the goals that we set out to do in the beginning of this administration. That doesn't stop. Go ahead.
Karine, I have two questions, domestic and foreign policy. On domestic, was there any reason why the president did not endorse the vice president in the first week? It took like a while, maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the first meeting.
The first tweet was he withdrawing from the race, but he did not say clearly that he is endorsing her.
From the letter to the
letter that he
statement.
sent.
To the tweet.
Yeah.
There was a half hour.
It was 30 minutes.
Because there was a 30 minutes? You're questioning a 30-minute window?
Because I'm not questioning, I'm just asking if there was a reason.
I mean, look, he put out a letter to the American people about a decision that he had made. That deserved a standalone letter, I believe, right? A decision, an important historic decision. He wanted to do that and speak directly to the American people. That's why he did the letter. And then obviously 30 minutes later, you got the endorsement. That's not a significant amount, but it's not a significant amount of time. I think if you look at the letter, you see that he was truly trying to lay down the decision, a very weighty decision, and he wanted to say that directly to the American people.
Fair enough, you explain it now.
Thank you for approving that answer.
Second question on foreign policy, just to follow up on
Sure.
Gary's question. What message does the administration send to the world when we see the White House is barricaded, in anticipation of Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit here? Considering that the ICC found a reasonable ground to indict him as a war criminal, and 70% of Israelis want him to step down.
So look, I can't speak to Israelis. That's I'm not going to speak to domestic politics. I think we've been very clear on our feelings about ICC and their recommendation, something that we do not agree on. We've been very clear about that. Look, when it comes to what we're seeing outside, as you said, the barricades and such, that's something for Secret Service to speak to. They can speak to why they feel that it's needed. That is not for me to speak to. But it doesn't change the fact that we believe in the right for all Americans to peacefully protest. That is something that we've always been very clear about. It is the right of all Americans to peacefully protest. And we understand that this is an incredibly painful moment for many communities. And we respect that. And also, in that same vein, we're going to strongly condemn any type of violence or destruction of property. That is something that we've been very clear about as well. But peacefully protest, that's something that we support. I can't speak to, there's reasons why the Secret Service is deciding to do that. That is for them to speak to directly. Okay. Okay. Raquel.
Hi, thank you, Karine, very much. Karine, you were saying how difficult was this decision for President Biden. What is his mood since he took this decision? And what will be the tone of the address tonight? Also, what did he decide to do from the Oval Office? I wonder if he's going to do campaigning from...
So a couple of things. Look, I saw the president not too long ago, a couple hours ago. He's determined. He's in good spirits. He wants to speak directly to the American people tonight. That is his focus. He is doing it from the Oval Office because, as many of you all reported, and we agree with all of you, this is an important moment. This is a historic moment. And this decision was a big decision, was an important decision. And Oval Offices are used for moments that, I would say, moments like these that are historic. So he wants to do it from the Oval. He's going to do it in prime time. He's going to speak directly to the American people. I would say, again, tune in. You'll hear from what he has to say. And I think it's going to be important. I think it's going to be important.
Expect that he's going to ask people to vote for Harris from the Oval or do any kind of campaign?
It's going to be a speech, we believe, that is going to be important for the American people to hear directly from this president in this moment, in this historic moment. And I'm not going to get into details, get into specifics. I've said this many times from here, I'm not going to get ahead of the president. This is his opportunity to explain that decision and for the Americans people to listen in. So I know I got to go. Go ahead.
Thanks so much, Queen. Can you give us any more color about the preparation for the speech? Who's been helping the president write it? If he's been sounding, using anybody as a sounding board?
I'm not going to go into details. Obviously, this is a speech that the president's very deeply involved in. You don't use the Oval Office often. You use it for incredibly important moments. And that's what you're going to hear tonight. I'm just not going to get into specifics as to how the president is preparing. I will say this, obviously his senior advisors are always heavily involved. And this is a president that's taking this very seriously, very focused, like he does with any other speech. And so tune tune in.
And can you say whether or not you'd be willing to have the president's doctor come to the podium, particularly given that the president does intend to serve out his term, and there have been a number of questions about, his fitness for office. If some of those questions could be settled if perhaps there's if his doctor would come to the podium, or if more medical records could be released.
You heard from the president's doctor, I believe, every day that he had COVID. He gave his assessment of what was going on, what was happening. There was a memo that was sent out to all of you. Obviously, the memo was given to me, and we shared it publicly. I don't have anything else. And you've heard me say this many times. There was an extensive medical evaluation that was done, physical that was done in February. You all have that. I just don't have anything else to share from here. All right, thanks everybody. I'll be back tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.